The radio alarm clock sounds at 6 a.m. on Monday morning to the tune of a Tom Petty classic. Ironically enough, the song was Running Down a Dream. The sun shines through the window, and the warmth beams in to start the day, unwelcome as it seems. Running down a dream was exactly what I was doing until this damn clock went off. The smell of coffee filled the house as I actually remembered to set up the pot to brew the night prior. A change, I might add. Normally I forget, only to have to fumble around with it first thing, and making me late for the grind that I have to endure. I pull the covers back and swing out of bed, thinking the weekend went by too fast, as every working stiff does to the start of the week. Stumbling towards the kitchen and thinking of the day ahead, I remembered I was out of sugar. Coffee won't be the same today. I've decided to pour the pot down the drain and stop at Starbucks instead, making me late to work anyway. The thought of dread goes through my mind, as my boss will not be pleased with my almost daily tardiness. But then again, fuck him. I'm not an object to be owned. He's a miserable excuse for a human being anyway, always on my ass for not doing his job. All this over being out of sugar. Man, I really have to stop at the grocery store tonight after I get off. After a hot shower, I jump into my Honda Civic and head out. Arriving at the Starbucks drive-thru, I ask for a venti latte, but get a grande instead. I ask the pretty young man in the window to exchange it for what I've requested, thinking this just won't do. He proceeds to suggest I pay the difference for his mistake. "Oh no," I replied. "You make the correction at your expense." He then responded with, "There's an extra charge for a larger size." Wow, his mistake, yet he has the balls to make me responsible. Welcome to today's society. That's the trouble with our retail culture now. The customer takes the hit for the corporate big boys. No apology, followed by no thank you. Yep, great customer service. I get my inflated cup of coffee, and I'm back en route to my beloved career. Walking into my office, I notice it's 5 minutes past my start time. Feeling my stomach turn, I look over only to see my cranky and self-righteous superior. His name is Al Walker. Al is a 54-year-old man that's never been happy in his marriage, his job, nor his life as a whole. Al's wife was cheating on him with his brother for years, but he only suspected it. His kids hated him and stole from him every chance they had. And as for his job, well, his boss is more of an ass than he is. Yet Al isn't going to give anyone a break. I always thought he took out his shit life on everyone else just to feel like he had the upper hand for a change. "Good morning, glad you could join us," shouted Al. Of course he had to yell so the entire staff could plainly hear that I was late. "No problem," I replied. I didn't have anything else to do anyway. Al looked at me with contempt, and yet didn't respond. My day was long, boring, and dull. Uneventful and droning was the norm during the day-to-day life I was leading. I had to get a hobby, something that excited me and would take my mind off the BS that I called a job. It was finally 5 o'clock and time to head out. I jump in the car with relief. The day seemed to last forever. I turned on the radio and popped in a CD. Heavy metal was my answer to a lot of things. The day's end was no exception. I blasted Slipknot and peeled out of the parking lot onto a busy traffic area, almost sideswiping a caravan full of snot-nosed kids and a complacent, overweight housewife. She looked me in the eyes and scowled. I wondered what it would be like to punch her in her fat face and watch her teeth fly out. I wondered what her husband would do if she came up missing. Would he be distraught, or relieved that his grocery bill would be cut in half? I found myself thinking about her and her kids as I drove to the grocery store myself for that damn sugar. Tomorrow morning wouldn't leave me high and dry without coffee. I walked into the grocery store thinking about sugar and coffee, the fat housewife and her brats. I noticed a blonde girl at the register on my way in. She smiled at me as I entered. If she only knew. I smiled back and entertained the idea of making sure I would get into her line to check out. If I remembered, that is, by the time I was done with my shopping. I grabbed my sugar, more coffee, and a few other things. I did, in fact, remember to use the girl's checkout line. I made sure to keep eye contact with her as I put my items on the conveyor belt contraption that they have. I turned around to see yet another housewife behind me. She put a separation stick between our groceries and looked at me as if she was thinking, "I'm not paying for that stuff." I rolled my eyes and turned my head slowly to ensure she saw my disapproval in her action, suddenly remembering the checkout girl that I had focused on before. I tried to make small talk with her as I was always fishing for new friends that looked like her. She didn't seem interested, and I didn't feel up to a challenge, so I paid for my things and split. My mind proceeded to evening events and what my plans were to be for that night. As I drove, again listening to some loud tunes, I remembered and reminisced to myself. I'd found myself thinking of experiences of days gone by. I thought about things I had done. It had been a long time since I had indulged in my special hobby of interest. Maybe even over a year now. My special hobby is unique, expensive, and very risky. But that's why I do it, right? For the rush, for the excitement. I had to move before to avoid a situation and repercussions. I fear someday I will have to move again, when the urge becomes too great and I'm forced to indulge once more. For some serial killers, it's a must to leave clues. They have a need to endanger themselves and tempt fate by doing things to get some kind of fame. They need self-satisfaction in some way, like a dog pissing on a tree to mark its territory. Some idiots even try to get caught. Do they not realize that's their demise, as well as the end of the party? Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, and you like what I do, make sure you subscribe. I would also like to give a big shout out to Pet Monster. He is the one who has written this story, so if you enjoy it, make sure to go check out his channel. I will have a link to that in the description below. And again, I'd just like to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all here next time.